Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Ready for new crazy stories I have for you today? I have two new ones. The first one is a long one, so listen till the end to hear my insights and an update. It is about OP's mother-in-law, who demands OP's fiance leave OP because OP is an affair child. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So basically, I am the child of an affair. My mom fell in love with and got knocked up with me by a guy who was already married. My dad would periodically visit my mom and me until I was about 4, which is when his wife found out about my mom. We never saw him again. Once in a while, I think he sent some child support checks, but I'm not sure. I barely remember him since I was really young when he left me, and my mom and he never visited much, while I was awake or around anyway. I don't think he really was interested in me, just my mom. My mom had 2 jobs to support us, one in a fast food joint during the day, and the other at a S club, which I didn't find out about until I was 16. She lied and told me she had another job at another restaurant at night. I am fairly certain my mother was also selling herself on the side, but I've never confirmed, and frankly, I don't want to know. She had frequent boyfriends, which she would mooch off of until she got tired of their crap, or they got tired of hers. Anyway, fast forward to present day. I am engaged to the most wonderful man in the world after dating for 4 years and planning a wedding about 8 months from now. My mother still works as a dancer and lives with her current boyfriend, who is honestly a sweet guy, but is also a deadbeat and alcoholic. My fiance's mother is not so wonderful. She found out, of course, about me and my mom's background and present occupation, and she hates both of us. She's telling Mike, my fiance, not to marry me because I'm the product of adultery, and I grew up in a home where cheating is viewed as acceptable and permissible. And therefore, I will most likely cheat on Mike, and he will have to get paternity tests on any children I have, so he's not stuck with some other man's baby. She called my mom an H, a slut, and no good man stealing trash. Mike's mother has been married twice, and both of her husbands cheated on her. The first one with an S dancer. So I can sort of understand why Mike's mom is kind of paranoid and doesn't look with fondness on me or my mom. Mike is upset with the way his mom talks to and about me and my mom, but doesn't know what to do. It's his mom, and he loves her, and up until now they had a really good relationship. But she doesn't understand why her son, who could have a good girl, would settle for someone like me. For the record, I graduated with honors, have a great job, support myself, and have never cheated on Mike or the other boyfriends I've had. I loathe cheating and do not think it's okay at all. As for my mom, she was of course deeply hurt by what my future mother-in-law said. I'll be the first to admit what my mom has done in the past is not okay. But I don't hate my mom. She's just a very silly and immature woman who is lacking in common sense, but is not malicious in any way. She's actually very sweet and giving most of the time. But she has terrible taste in men and has made a lot of poor life decisions. She says she knows her affair with my dad was wrong, but love is love, and she couldn't help who she loved. She still views my dad as the one who got away and the love of her life. I think he's the only man she's really ever loved. I remember after my dad disappeared, her crying her eyes out every night for months and drinking herself into a stupor. Obviously, she's delusional and has never really learned from her mistakes. She lacks basic life skills and has always relied on her looks. She is very, very beautiful and charmed to get by in life. But I know she did her best to be a parent to me, and I know she loves me. Is it too much for me to ask my future mother-in-law to treat my mother with respect? Or me, for that matter? I'm not sure what I can ask of Mike, who feels caught in the middle and isn't sure what to do. He's never had a serious argument or been truly angry with his mother before. He hates what she says, but it's clearly messing with his head because his mom has never been wrong before, which he knows she is now. What can I ask, and what should I ask of my fiancé? And how should I respond to Mike's mom? I want to just cut her out of my life, but I'm not sure that's fair to ask of Mike. I want him to be happy too. I have a short temper though, and it takes everything inside me not to explode at his mom and just verbally rip her to shreds, especially when she said those things to my mom's face. In my opinion, OP's fiance needs to be the one who responds, not OP. He needs to make it clear to her that an attack on OP is an attack on him, that the two of them are one united force now, and the things she's saying are inexcusable. If he doesn't do this, OP really must not marry him, because it won't get better, and she'll eventually do everything she can to pry OP's children from her. Update. Clarifying. Mike's dad was actually my future mother-in-law's second husband. Her first husband cheated on her with an S dancer, but that is not Mike's dad. Mike's dad also cheated, but it wasn't with an S worker. It was a mutual friend or co-worker or something like that. Not sure on the details. Mike is no contact with his father and does not like to talk about him, so I don't ask. Anyways, on to the actual update. I actually showed Mike the post. He was quiet but kind, asked me to let him think about it, and then cooked me my favorite dinner and drew me a bath with scented oils and candles. About a day after I posted, Mike asked me to sit and talk with him. He started off the bat by sincerely apologizing. He said the things his mother said to me and my mom were so awful and brazen, he was taken aback and froze up in response. He said that yes, his mom has made the odd snippy comment about me or my mom, but he's been good about deflecting the comment and changing the subject. He just never expected an explosion of that magnitude. He then apologized for not addressing his mother sooner, but it's been so hard for him to wrap his mind around it, that he deeply loves and respects his mother, and it has been so hard to think about the implications of her actions and what it could mean for his relationship with her. However, his life is with me now, and that if he thinks he's grown up enough to get married, he needs to put me first, regardless of his mother. I will say I can understand why Mike is so close with his mom. I'll be the first to say I do not like my future mother-in-law, but she has many admirable qualities about her. She's very tough and ambitious and strove to make Mike have a happy and successful life despite 2 failed marriages and being a single mom. She is quite successful career-wise. She's just too closed-minded and controlling for me to ever like her much. Anywho, Mike said that none of what his mom said affected his view on me, that I'm amazing and beautiful and just perfect, and he doesn't care what my background is. He's still marrying me, and that will make him the happiest man on the planet. Aww. Mike asked me to sit right there on the sofa. Then he got his phone and called his mother. I'll relay the main conversation. Mike. Mom, hi. I'm calling because there is something I need to talk to you about. It's about what you've been saying about my fiance and my future mother-in-law, and what you said to their faces. Future mother-in-law starts to argue. Mike, no, stop right now. I'm not going to listen to this nonsense anymore. Look, I know how much Tom and Dad hurt you, and I'm sorry about that, I really am. But taking it out on my name and her mom won't fix it or make it better. Jezebel, my mother, isn't the one who cheated on you, and my name didn't exactly choose to be born into the life she's had. Don't you think if she had a choice, she'd have done different? Future mother-in-law starts to argue and yell, Mike, Mom, shut up and listen. Future mother-in-law, silence. Mike's never talked to her that way, ever. Mike, my name is more than good enough for me. She's smart, successful, witty, ambitious, and beautiful. She has a good heart and is going to do amazing things. She's all this in spite of her past. And you know what, Mom? If you think she'll cheat on me because of her parents' relationships, then I guess I'm bound to cheat on her too, because my dad was a cheat, and my mom had the bad judgment to marry 2 cheaters in a row. Future mother-in-law. What? But there were consequences. You weren't born from it, and I got them both out of my life. I never said it was okay, it's different. I saw how it was bad to cheat. She was raised thinking it's okay. Mike said she sounded really shaken up. Mike. And my name didn't have consequences? Because her dad cheated and abandoned her? Because of infidelity, she had to grow up without a father. Do you think my name wanted that? Future mother-in-law, silence, starts to speak. Mike. No, this conversation is finished. If you still want a place at the wedding, you will drop this topic today, immediately, forever. You don't have to love my name or her mother. You don't even have to like them, but you will treat both of them with respect. If you don't, you won't have a place in my life or the lives of any kids my name and I have. My name is my friend and partner, and she will be my wife. Anything said against her is also said against me, and I won't have someone around who is disrespectful and cruel for no reason to me and her. Her mom is going to be my mom. I plan on calling Jezebel Mom because that's what she will be. Future mother-in-law. Silence. Then starts to cry. My mother-in-law never cries. Mike. You owe my name an apology. You also owe her mother one, but I can't control that. But I can control what happens in my house. I will not talk to you until you have apologized to my name and are ready to be civil to her and her mother. Hangs up. I was and still am speechless. My fiance is the kindest person in the world, but he stood up for me and my mother without backing down. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. Mike then called my mom and apologized for his mother's behavior and said he had talked to her and it shouldn't happen again. But if it does, please do not hesitate to tell him. He also asked if he could start calling her mom, and my mom said, of course. I know this meant the world to her. He also sent her a big bouquet of flowers to her for her birthday, which she should be getting sometime today or tomorrow. My mom texted me later saying she wished she could have been loved like I am at any point in her life, and to please not take what I had for granted. She said she is so happy for me and thinks Mike is the most wonderful guy in the world. I got all choked up and texted her back a thank you and that I thought so too. Still haven't heard from future mother-in-law, but neither of us expect to for a while. She hasn't communicated with Mike at all either, which tells us she took what he said very hard. It'll probably take a while for her to recover from it. My guess is she'll probably feel like I stole her son from her and have corrupted him. But I guess that's what happens when you marry a conniving sin spawn like me. I really don't care, and it isn't my problem. As long as she keeps her opinions about me and my mom to herself, I'll tolerate her for Mike's sake and any future kids we have. I know for a fact if she steps out of line, Mike won't have any qualms about cutting her out, so I'm not worried about it. So, kind of a long backstory here. I got married a few months ago. I get along very well with my husband's family, and I knew him for nearly 5 years before we got married, and I have been friendly with his family for about 2. His parents have been divorced for well over a decade, supposedly because his father thought his mom was lazy for not wanting to get a better job. She is an English teacher and loves her students dearly. I respect his father, but I very much love his mother like my own, and sometimes I find her more reasonable than my own mother, bless her heart. Up until 2 months or so before the wedding, we believed his father and mother were both coming alone. His father randomly brought up that he was bringing a girlfriend, but would still walk his ex-wife down the aisle as planned. No problems here. We get to the rehearsal date, and girlfriend is nowhere to be seen, but father is there, dutifully walking my mother-in-law-to-be down the aisle. At lunch after the rehearsal, a middle-aged woman comes in 20 minutes late in a full-length white maxi dress, introduces herself to every table but the actual bridal party, and sits down at the groom's family table. I felt so disrespected. After lunch, she introduces herself to me as, let's say Karen. I thought maybe she just didn't want to bug me at lunch. But then that evening, we had an extended family dinner planned, and I swear, Karen would not booger off and leave me alone for 6 seconds. I was sitting at the end of a long booth-like table so I could get up and walk around with my fiance, greet all the guests, make sure everyone was taken care of, and Karen would not stop trying to box me into my seat and grab my arms and treat me as though we were long-lost sisters. It was all so fake, like she wanted to put on this show for the groom's family of being close to me, liked. I hated it. I hated her. I ended up using my darling sweet niece and mother-in-law-to-be as a shield, just so I could eat a few bites in peace. On the wedding day, Karen was thankfully less in my face, and the day was wonderful. She only ambushed me 3 times during the reception. Interestingly, I saw her again around Thanksgiving, and the woman barely greeted me and acted as though I didn't exist, despite cooing at my toddler nephew, who spent most of the day in my lap. Rude, but okay. Maybe she was thrown by the extended family gathering where she didn't know some of the people. At Christmas, I found out Karen and weren't doing Christmas gifts because he threw her and all her stuff out of his house practically every other day. Cut to now, when I have the photographer's proof album, and Karen is, thankfully, only in one shot. Unfortunately, the one shot is the shot of my father walking me down the aisle, with me leaning to kiss my mother before I arrive at the altar. She's in that picture. It wouldn't be difficult to cut her, really. She's at the far edge of the photo, but my husband thinks it's unreasonable. My take is that she doesn't deserve to be in the album. I think she's a disservice to my mother-in-law, and I think she's a miserable person to be around. Am I being childish about this, or is it understandable to not want this woman appearing in my final wedding album? Honestly, it's one picture in the album, and she's on the far right corner. He's probably thinking about his father and the implications that his girlfriend was removed from the wedding pictures, even though she was their guest. What if in the future she no longer becomes an on-again, off-again girlfriend and becomes a permanent spouse to OP's current father-in-law? There's going to be a problem with her being absent in that picture, especially if she ever gets wind that she was taken out of it.